All right, so we ran out of time in our last video because we only have a 15-minute limit. So now we are actually back for trivia time. Yay. Okay, first trivia question.
Okay.
Are vaccines effective against bacteria, viruses, or both?
So during this video, so I thought it was both, but you have referred exclusively to viruses. So I'm going to guess that they're only for viruses.
It's actually for both.
Oh.
It is for both. Yeah, and I was... like when I first asked you what a vaccine was, you said something about like injecting cells. And so I thought you were going to say like cells of viruses and I was going to correct you. But then you said cells of bacteria and so then I didn't correct you. So yeah.
Wait, so viruses, what are viruses made of then? They don't have cells?
No, viruses don't have cells. So this is very good because you guys already learned that viruses don't have cells.
Review time.
Review time, yes. So cells have all this like machinery inside them, right? A virus is just very small. It's like just nucleic acids and a protein coat, basically. And so it doesn't have any of its own machinery for replicating.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember learning about this. They hijack your cell and they use the cell's machinery to copy themselves.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah. So they like take over the ribosomes of the cell to make all their proteins and stuff. Yeah.
Very cool.
Okay, so some of the vaccines we've talked about already are for viral diseases, and I just wanted to see what you know about vaccine abbreviations. So I have this list of different vaccines. This is my daughter's sheet of like vaccine schedule that I got from her doctors. I have a 2-year-old daughter, and so then I can know like every time I take her to the doctor like what vaccines she's going to get all the way up until she's 10. It goes on to the back. Up to 21 years old, it tells me like any vaccine updates she might need. So, do you know what DTaP stands for?
I have no idea.
DTaP stands for diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis. Do you know what any of those things are?
Pertussis, whooping cough, because Robitussin, tuss, means coughing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's word roots.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of word roots, I was going to tell you this. Yeah. Do you know where the word vaccine came from?
No idea. I don't know.
So cowpox, right? Remember when I was telling you
about like lavash.
Yes.
There you go.
Or vaca in Spanish. Yeah.
Okay.
It's from the Latin root for cow.
Nice.
Cool, huh? Word roots. English major. All right. Yeah, and tetanus, you probably have heard of it, like a tetanus shot.
Sure.
Yeah, tetanus is a bacteria that causes your like
stabbed by a rusty nail or something.
Yeah, it causes your like muscles to seize up. Yeah. It's actually a soil bacteria, and so people sometimes think that tetanus you associate with like rusty nails, but it's really it lives in the soil. So it's essentially any time that you like stuff that's really dirty that has soil on it could give you tetanus. And diphtheria is this bacteria that causes like a nasty like thing to grow in your throat, like a kind of dead cells and inflammation and stuff that can cause you to like your throat to close up. It's not good. Really. Do you know what hepatitis is?
I know that there's like Hep B, Hep C. There are different types of hepatitis.
Do you know if you have hepatitis, what part of your body's infected?
No clue.
Your liver. It's not good to have a liver infection.
No. You need that for detoxing.
You do. And so your liver does a lot of things for you, and so you do not want a liver infection. Do you know what MMR stands for?
I know that the second M is mumps. I know that the R is rubella. For some reason in my head, I'm saying marbles, mumps, and rubella, but that's clearly not correct. Marbles is not a disease. No. I'm not sure where I'm getting that from.
Measles.
Measles,
mumps, and rubella. So the MMR vaccine is the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine. Do you know what varicella is?
I do not.
Chickenpox. We already talked about the chickenpox vaccine.
Right.
And so pretty much so measles, mumps, and rubella, those are all viruses. Hepatitis is viral, I think. Varicella, chickenpox is a virus. Do you know what a meningococcal disease is?
I do, actually. Yeah, meningitis. So I wrote, I had like a story about a hypochondriac who had thought that he had contracted meningitis. So yeah, it makes your the lining like around your brain, right? Your meninges. It inflames your meninges. It's very painful. It gives you a horrible headache.
Yeah. Yes. And so you can get meningitis from bacteria or viruses, but meningococcal disease specifically is a bacterial meningitis. So you can be vaccinated for that.
It's like super deadly, fast acting.
Yeah, it's not good. No. Do you know what HPV is?
The human papillomavirus.
Yes. Do you know what it causes?
I do not.
It is, it's sexually transmitted.
Mm.
It causes cervical cancer.
Oh.
And so it's, you can't really test for HPV very well in men. So it's,
Mm-hmm.
like some sexually transmitted diseases.
Men can get it.
Yeah, men can carry HPV. And I should know like what if there's any disease symptoms in men, but it's not, you can't test for it very well, but it's one thing that can cause cervical cancer. And so the HPV vaccine is also pretty new. Like it's now recommended that kids get HPV vaccines like in adolescence so that they're, kids are all vaccinated with HPV before any time that they would be sexually active. And I think like my generation was one of the first generations to get the HPV vaccine. So anyway, so those are a little bit of vaccine abbreviations. And then I also wanted to ask you if you know how many diseases we've eradicated using vaccines, like completely wiped them out.
I have no clue. I'm going to say
guess?
50.
Wow, that's a big guess. No, we've only eradicated one disease.
What?
Using vaccines.
That's crazy.
So we've definitely like really cut down the numbers of diseases, but it's very hard to like truly eradicate
which one did we eradicate?
Smallpox. Yeah.
We haven't eradicated like mumps? People get mumps?
No, yeah, a lot of in third world countries, especially, like a lot of people still get diseases that are very preventable. And so there's kind of like a medical access issue and a medical access question that society needs to answer to make sure that everyone can get access to vaccines. But so smallpox was
my guess was like laughable.
Yeah. So it's the last case of smallpox was in 1977. And then in 1980, the WHO ruled that it was completely eradicated from the world.
Nice. Go us.
And polio has almost been eradicated. So polio, you mentioned the polio vaccine famously being Jonas Salk invented that.
Because he didn't patent it, I think.
1957.
He made it like very widely available.
Yeah, so like there were a couple of outbreaks of polio in the U.S. and like kind of during and after World War II where 40 to 60,000 people had it. And polio causes issues in your nervous system, and so it can lead to paralysis. That's why FDR that's why FDR was in a wheelchair.
Yeah, I had this blanket.
Right. And so a lot of kids used to get it. It's like very, even like our grandma's generation, like kids got it. And now the last case of polio in the United States, I wrote it down, was in 1979. Was the last documented case in the United States. And really the only places where people get polio now are in Afghanistan, Nigeria, and Pakistan.
Oh, interesting.
And it's like pretty much eradicated from most countries. So,
nice.
Yeah. So even though we have not totally eradicated these diseases, it's, very like, hopefully we would, the hope is that you get to a point where they are truly eradicated and there's no new cases of them. But it's really important for people to be vaccinated. People maybe don't feel as afraid of things like polio and stuff like that because of how rare the diseases are, but there's this important concept called herd immunity. Do you know what herd immunity means? What have you heard about that before?
Yeah. So my understanding is that like the more people who are vaccinated, the less likely it is for non-vaccinated people to get the disease because it's just like the transmission is, there are no opportunities for the disease to spread or fewer opportunities for the disease to spread.
Right. And not everybody can be vaccinated because it's like newborn babies, like I'm going to have a baby in like a month and at 2 months or something. Right. And like babies, when they're born, their immune system basically doesn't know how to fight anything. And so it's kind of interesting. Actually, I had a DTaP vaccine, diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis, like a week ago because pregnant women are supposed to get a booster shot to help because newborn babies, if they get whooping cough, it's really bad.
Oh, yeah.
And so like my immune system is like been boosted for whooping cough. And so my baby will be less susceptible to it. And moms transmit antibodies to their babies in breast milk.
Oh, I see.
So if I breastfeed my baby, then he'll get antibodies. Yeah. From my breast milk.
So he'll be almost like kind of indirectly, not vaccinated, but...
Yeah. What I read was it like coats their throat. And so especially for things that are like airborne, it's like if, there's antibodies in the milk, then it kind of like if it goes into their nasal passages, the antibodies can fight it there. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And also like people who are, if people are having cancer treatment or they have any kind of like, autoimmune diseases or any kind of like immune system, any disease of the immune system, right? You wouldn't want to like add more stress to your immune system
Yeah,
by
that makes
vaccinating
sense.
you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so the way herd immunity works is like when my baby's born, you know, if the if something like 95% of people are vaccinated for something like measles, for example,
Mm-hmm.
I can be reasonably certain that my child will not come into contact with anyone
Mm-hmm.
who has measles.
Right.
Yeah. And measles is super contagious. Like with coronavirus, they say that probably like on average, every infected person can infect like two, they're not sure exactly, but like about 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
With measles, an infected person with measles can infect 9 people.
Oh gosh.
That's kind of statistically how fast it spreads.
I see.
So it's super, super contagious.
So once like someone in your community has it, then everybody has it basically.
Right. Yeah. Because if you cough with measles, the like droplets it can stay airborne for like hours.
Oh gosh.
So someone with measles can cough, and
so if you walk through air that somebody has coughed
like 2 hours ago,
wow,
you could get measles from it.
it's horrifying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why the MMR vaccine is super important, but people are like not afraid of measles because most people don't get measles. You know, you don't.
Immunity is so strong.
Yeah, and so it's very important for basically like 95% of people or more to be vaccinated, so that people like newborn babies and people with cancer who are on cancer treatment and with compromised immune systems can be protected.
Interesting.
So that's a little bit about vaccines. So hopefully you now have a better understanding of what a vaccine is, what it does, and why vaccines are important. So thank you, Michael, for being here.
Thank you for having me. I learned a lot.
Good. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.